All right. So, good evening once again to everyone and our university representatives who are going to be presenting for today. For our second session of the day, let's all welcome California College of the Arts. Also known as CCA, it is a distinguished private institution located in the San Francisco Bay Area, with campuses in Oakland and San Francisco. Founded in 1907, CCA has evolved from its origins as the California School of Arts and Crafts into a leading art and design college, focusing on a broad range of disciplines including fine arts, architecture, design, and creative writing. CCA offers a comprehensive curriculum with 22 undergraduate and 10 graduate programs. Students can pursue degrees in various fields such as ceramics, painting, graphic design, industrial design, fashion design, and architecture. The college emphasizes as an interdisciplinary approach, encouraging students to explore different mediums and ideas while integrating theory with practice. This educational philosophy fosters creativity and innovation, preparing graduates for impactful careers in the arts and related industries. Once again, let's give it up for Francis Kalimlim as he introduces us to California College of the Arts.
Thank you, Carl. That was a great introduction. Thank you, Carl, and the rest of Camp Philippines for hosting and having me here today. Again, just like Carl said, my name is Francis Kalimlim, and I am the transfer admissions counselor at the California College of the Arts, located in San Francisco over here. But I am a native Filipino. I grew up here in Manila, and that's where I am right now. Um, I'm about to share my screen, but feel free to turn off your cameras or turn on your cameras. So I'm not looking at a bunch of, you know, blank squares. If you're comfortable, no pressure at all. But I'll go ahead and get started. I'm gonna share my screen right now. Alrighty. So again, this is the California College of the Arts. We are a private nonprofit art institution located in San Francisco, California. We were founded way back in 1907. So we're actually a pretty old school. But being this old and well established means we have a very strong presence in the San Francisco and larger Bay Area. For those that haven't been to San Francisco, um, honestly, it's one of my favorite cities. There's a large Filipino population there as well, one of the highest concentrations in the United States. And with that, a lot of Filipino artists, designers, artists, and practitioners, which was a big draw for me personally to come here for grad school. I'm going to start us off with a little intro video. So again, we're a top-rated art and design school in the heart of San Francisco. We're actually right in the middle of the design district, which means that we are surrounded by architecture, interior design, furniture, uh, studios and firms, among others, as well as we're actually right next door to the Adobe offices. So, we always like to joke that whenever they decide to make a new Photoshop update and we can't find the pen tool anymore, we go banging on their door and ask them to go fix it for us. You do start making in the studio on day one. So we are a art and design specific college, a private university, which means that the difference between a liberal arts college and us is that there's actually a lot more emphasis on hands-on making. So about 2/3 of your entire curriculum is going to be dedicated to studio practice, where the other 1/3 is going to be more on those lecture-based and seminar classes. We have 22 majors that are within one of our four main divisions of architecture, fine art, design, and humanities and science. But just because they are under quote unquote divisions doesn't mean that we want our students to actually be isolated in a bubble of their own program too. We're very interdisciplinary. We want and expect our students to actually learn from other majors outside of their own, pick up things here and there, add it to their practice and skill set so that you could make your own art practice very unique to your own. Animation's actually our most popular program, followed by graphic design and then architecture. But just because, say, you're in animation We want you to also take photography, print media, sculpture, graphic design, illustration, furniture, whatever it is that you want to, take your practice in the direction of, so that it's more an individualized based kind of curriculum and pathway for you so that you could enter in the kind of industry and career that you want to go into. We also have 10 graduate programs, as you can see here. Something that I forgot to mention, we have a lot of STEM designated degrees. Oh, and here's actually the slide that specify which ones there are. Interior design is actually our newest edition that just launched this year as well, which is very, very exciting. Interior design is a very, very popular program that we have. Um, I'll get into more into careers in a bit, but just kind of a sneak peek, our interior design program boasts a 100% um, employment rate over the last 10 years. And that's over the pandemic as well, which is pretty remarkable. So we do have a foundation year. We call it the first year core program. So again, from that last slide where you do start making on day one, we want all of our students, regardless of what program that they're in, to start the same way. So here in the first year, you'll get to know your cohort and you'll be taking drawing, 2D, 3D, and 4D. Everyone takes pretty much the same classes. You could choose what classes you do want in the 2D, 3D, and 4D realm. So with 3D, you could take like industrial design, sculpture, ceramics, jewelry, things like that. 4D is time-based work. So film, animation, video, things like that as well. That's outside of your major. And then after your first year portfolio review, where you learn how to first present and speak about your work that you did in the first year, you move on into your major in the second year. So you actually don't even have to declare your major in the first year because you won't have to enter it until your second year. And this is actually really cool because you may think that you're really interested in one way of making, say, like a painter. And then after taking your drawing 2D, 3D, and 4D classes, you go, oh, wait, I think I'm actually interested in film. Now I want to change my major into film, but incorporate a lot of things that I learned in my experience as a painter and drawer into my now new film practice that I want to pursue. So that's going to be the majority of your studio practice, along with some electives where you get to take whatever other classes that you want to explore in. And then again, that one third of your lecture-based classes in this first year will consist of your art history classes, so Introduction to the Arts and Modern Arts, Writing 1, and Foundations in Critical Studies. We are the only arts and private art school in the United States that do require our students to take 2 classes in critical ethnic studies, one being a seminar and one being a studio as well. This is something we really strive for our students to become global citizens where they are activist minded, politically minded, and community minded with the knowledge and education in being able to understand, empathize, and connect with their community on a much larger scale. So a little bit of life at CCA. This is a fun little slide too, so I'll let it play a little bit so you could see a little bit of the community. We are a small, tight-knit community here with only a little over 1,000 undergraduate students currently enrolled. We're also the #1 art school in return on investment, which basically means that for what you're paying to go to CCA over a longer period of time in your career, we're actually #1 for you getting a return on what you invested, essentially paid for in college, and more so because we also really stress our professional practices for students to be able to go into the industry that they want to work in. We're also ranked in the top 30 of Niche's 2024 list of the most diverse colleges in the United States. We have over 65 studios, makerspaces, labs, and media centers. That's not um, that isn't just limited to the program that you're in. Again, because we're so interdisciplinary, we want our students to be able to explore every studio, every facility, every resource that we have. You could go into the wood shop, the metal shop, into the animation studios, the film production stage, all of that that you want to explore, see what you could learn. We have workshops for a lot of these labs and maker spaces as well. So even if you're not in the major, you could go there and learn. Because we're also a really long standing school in the Bay Area. And remember, we're the only private art school in the San Francisco Bay Area as well. We get all of the professionals. A lot of our instructors, actually 100% of our instructors are working practitioners in the field that they teach. So all of your teachers are going to be working professionals, and they have a lot of friends, they have a lot of colleagues from their industries that they work in that they like to bring over to CCA to talk one-on-one with students too. So they're already looking at work that students are making and making those professional connections. Now, something really exciting that we have opening up this fall already, it's already open, is our new campus. So we're actually only getting bigger as well. We are historically a two-campus institution. Our first campus opening up in Oakland, California, and then us opening our San Francisco location. We've since consolidated, and now we're only getting bigger so that we truly are an interdisciplinary school. So we have a brand new campus that's connected to our main campus, and we have more studio space, more classrooms. Our public gallery space is also opening up right there in the corner as well that you see on the right side. So we are super excited for the launching and opening of basically a brand new campus. We also have student housing. We do require first year students to live on campus up until the end of their second year. So for the first 2 years, therefore, it's guaranteed and not competitive. This goes, of course, for international students too. Everyone here is going to live right across the street in our Founders Hall. It was brand new. It opened up in 2021 with all new facilities and things like that. So this is a little bit of what it looks like now. Again, it's just right next door to our main campus. So it's really convenient. This is where our Makers Cafe is as well, and on the first floor. We try to change it up every single day for the students, very accommodating to dietary needs and restrictions. Um, they change up the menu every single day. We also welcome students to submit their own recipes too, so that the chefs could make it. So you get a little bit of piece of home, and you could share it among your friends as well. We have a convenience store as well as a cafe in there too. A little bit about student life. We have a lot of student clubs that are all student founded, student led, and student run. They fall under one of three categories, as I like to say. The first category being identity based groups. So, first generation student organization, Black Brilliance, Students of Color Coalition. Then we have the academic based groups, or, a little bit more towards your major. So, 24 Frames, which is an animation club, film production club, illustration club. And because these are clubs, you don't necessarily have to be in that major as well in order to join it. So if you don't have extra space for painting and drawing classes, for example, you could then join the Painters Coalition. So you could still make friends in the painting department, or just kind of practice your skills on the side. Then the third group is what I call our fun clubs as well. So we have CCA Climbing Club, the basketball club, and our CCA radio station, which is really neat. We are also the most engaged campus for college student voting in 2022. What this means is that San Francisco has a really long history for being politically activist oriented, and that spirit carries through all the way up to this day. All of our students are really pumped to go out and engage with our community. We want all of our voices to be heard. And what does that actually mean for striving for equity and making art that is also community responsible too? And get involved within our class, within our institution too. Be a part of our student council, join a club again. All of these different things that you could do while you're a student, that you're not just there to learn the thing, that you're not just there to take classes, study up, and then get your degree and figure it out afterwards, that you're already creating those communities, that you're already creating those connections while you're a student. For those that haven't been to San Francisco, again, it's my favorite city. For those who are maybe familiar with like Baguio, or if you're in Baguio, it reminds me a lot of that. It's actually my favorite city here in the Philippines. It's colder than where you would typically think of in California. It's a lot of hills and it's a lot of art. I went there for the art, for the food, and honestly, there's so many dogs and pets that are running around that I just absolutely love. We're also so close to nature. We're actually positioned in California in a really unique spot where San Francisco, the city itself is only 11 by 11 kilometers. It's a really small city, but you drive outside of the city, and within an hour, you're in a completely new environment. You could be in the woods of Muir Woods, or you could be at the beach in Monterey, or you could go into the canyons. And already, those kind of shifts in environment allow you to feel a lot more open and in a bigger environment than it already actually kind of is. With how expansive and diverse our programs are, our environment and landscape is, so is our diverse connections. So again, 100% of our faculty are working professionals in their field, and therefore they like to bring a lot of their colleagues to engage with our students already. We have a lot of industry partnerships too, so that you're already working in a lot of those studios and industries as well. I'll go over some of them through our architecture department. This is our Buoyant Ecologies Float Lab. This is an ongoing partnership with Benthic Lab, where our architecture students work with marine biologists, engineers, architects, lawyers, alums, faculty, all of that to create this really insane floating lab that I won't do it justice, but it does so many different things. It collects rainwater, it makes fish apartments. Um, there's like an irrigation system on the roof. There's like tide pools on it. It's like it kind of blows my mind. And I'm not going to do it justice because it does so many things, but it's this floating lab in the bay to do additional research. And it really kind of expands what your idea for architecture is, right? It's not just building a building on land, but something that could be used out in the environment for scientific purposes as well. One of our most recent industry partnerships is in collaboration and sponsored by Google, called Studio Forward. And this is really exploring the idea that because of COVID-19, because of the pandemic, there's no such thing as going back to normal. 2019 normalcy doesn't exist anymore. So what does that mean for the future of art and design moving forward? And Google gave us the space in order to explore that. And our students, mostly in interaction design, industrial design, graphic design, things like that, were able to go out into the public, create public works, and have an exhibition at a popular museum in the city at the end called Yerba Buena Center of the Arts. Another initiative, I'm sorry, that we had is our student graphic design club called TBD. They were actually approached by BART, which is our subway line, and they went, "Hey, we have a lot of these kind of like wooden barricades covering up our escalator tracks. Can you, our escalator repairs, can you do something with it?" So our graphic design students got to explore about 4 or 5 different stations in the city and create these large scale graphics that had a lot of little QR codes on them, so that when passengers scan them going on and off the train, it would bring up this little filter or background on their phone, which is really neat. Another part of this initiative is that Bart asked our TBD club to survey actual passengers and citizens of San Francisco of what's important to them. What would they like to see in the stations on BART? And they created these posters that were littered all over the Bay Area, which is speaking to what they surveyed. I'm gonna let this run for a little bit. This is, a quick montage of student work. If you One thing I want you to really take notice here is how diverse our student work is, going across so many different types of programs and the kind of hybrid and combinations of different programs and mediums as well. There is no real CCA style, I would say, because we're so individual based. So going into those professional practices, again, we really emphasize professional practices and industry experience for our students before they graduate, not after. So while you're a student, you're going to get a professional level portfolio of projects, in demand skills and experience that's going to make you highly competitive. And remember, we're in Silicon Valley where all of those big tech companies live. Google, Amazon, Pixar, that's a really big internship program that we have, and connection. An array of local and smaller studios as well that are up and rising, where students often get paid internships. All of our internships available at CCA are paid as well. We really emphasize too that no artist should ever work for free. You'll also leave with a strong network of connections through various industry visitors, faculty mentors, alums, and of course, your fellow classmates. That's a big advantage to being at a private art institution, is that you're only surrounded by artists, whether it's your faculty, your students, but even your staff. I'm an artist myself. I have a master's in fine arts. I work in the admissions department. All of us in the admissions department are artists as well. 87% of our undergraduate students obtained a job within a year of graduating in the field that they study. 85% of our recent alum reported that they are working in a career that actually relates to what they studied too. And 26% of our recent alum that just graduated this year are pursuing a graduate degree at very competitive schools. These are where some of our alum are currently working. And I already know that you recognize at least a handful of these: Airbnb, Adobe, Amazon, Apple, Google, Hasbro, um, Nike, Nickelodeon. It really goes on. Pixar, again, is up in Silicon Valley as well. And we have a lot of teachers that are Pixar artists. So real jobs, going back, piggybacking on that last slide, real jobs that you could have that you may not actually realize exist until you go to art school and you go, wow, I didn't know that that was a thing, but that's something that I really want to do. You could be an innovation designer at Nike, a UX designer at TikTok, social impact partner with Wikimedia. The list kind of goes on and on. You could also go into the more art related field as well, especially for those who are interested in the fine arts. You could be a preparator at the Asian Art Museum, artist in residence at the MOAD, um, program creator, arts writer. The list again goes on and on. I myself around San Francisco am involved in a lot of organizations and nonprofits where I'm helping create spaces for emerging, specifically Asian American artists around the city have space to exhibit their work. And because we have such an interdisciplinary model and philosophy that we follow, it really reflects what the art industry in the San Francisco and Bay Area scene looks like, where there's going to be a lot of overlap. I constantly see other folks. I'm like, oh, hey, we worked on a project together. You're in this team now? That's awesome. Now we're working on this for the community. So I know I'm seeing community a lot, but that's such a key thing that we really emphasize here. More jobs that our current alum have. That's a little bit more specific. We have a character designer at Sanrio, creative director at Pixar, packaging design intern at Hasbro. Someone who just recently graduated from our industrial design is now working at Hasbro, which is really exciting. And we have a very robust career development office that helps students, really learn how to interview for these jobs too. So we offer interview coaching, CV and resume writing, things like that. Now, this is what I think our bread and butter is. I really want to highlight our alums. because they're the ones that really show what our students are capable of, and they go off to do really amazing things, and most often come back to CCA and like recruit students because they know the quality of work that they're producing. So I'm going to quickly go through these because I have a pretty good list. So here's Jay Ward, who is a creative director of franchise at Pixar. He graduated in animation, and he also worked on a lot of projects, including Cars on the Road. Here's Grace Sieg, who is an alum of the industrial design program and is now a toy designer at Mattel. She is now actually teaching at CCA as well while still working at Mattel. Lava Thomas graduated from ceramics. She's now an international and world-renowned artist known for her large installation featuring graphite drawings and found objects. Darian Newman, who graduated in graphic design, is now a visual designer at Dropbox with activation spaces that often attract a lot of celebrities to use them. Here's Anne Hathaway that you see here. Casper Mork Ulnes. He and his wife actually founded a architecture firm called Mork Ulnes Architects. And their most recent project was responding to the California fires, where they created these sustainable smart homes in response to it. Galen Boone, who graduated in individualized studies, kind of made a bridge between the history of art and visual culture, jewelry, and sculpture, created basically what they called queer utopias, where they envisioned a kind of Garden of Eden of sorts for trans and queer folk. And Ray Cerna, who grew up in New York, went to the West Coast to study fashion with us, went back to New York and founded her own company called Ray NYC, which is thriving, by the way. I'm actually this isn't even like a plug or anything, but I think in the last month I've met 4 different people who have been wearing a lot of Ray's clothes, and she's really about body positivity and accessibility. So a little bit about applying to CCA. It's actually a really straightforward process and application. So it's an application either through the Common App or directly through us on our website with a $70 application fee. A personal essay, what I personally look for when I read essays is about 500 words. We don't need 3, 4, 5 pages of your whole life story. Make it really concise and to the point. And a great subject and topic that I always advise students to write about is to make it about best fit. Why are you choosing CCA? What kind of work do you do, and how do those mesh? Of course, all of your official transcripts that include your grades. 1 letter of recommendation is the minimum, but try not to go more than 3. Try to pick someone really, really close to who you are as an artist and as a student who could talk to that. Someone who could essentially brag about you and give extra context that the rest of your application couldn't provide. Proof of English proficiency for our international applicants, of course, and our portfolio of 10 to 15 pieces. For our portfolio, whenever I talk to students about how to find the right art school for them, because for me, whether or not you choose CCA, what I ultimately want for you is to choose the school that best fits you. What school is going to be the best at getting you in the pathway that you want, what career path you want to go into. And sometimes it's not CCA. And if it is, I'm here to help you get there. And a great way to see if that school is good for you is through their portfolio. If their portfolio requirements is something that you're already having fun doing, is it something exciting for you? What does it actually reveal about how they teach? That's where you should kind of be going into your research at the top of your list. So for us, we don't have any special requirements on our portfolio, just that 10 to 15 range. We want to see more of your personality. I personally am less interested in your class assignments. I'd rather see how you apply the things that you learn in your class assignments into your own personal work. I want you to be super weird, I want you to show us your personality, show us your sketchbook, and we're also not major specific either. Just because you're interested in coming in for painting doesn't mean you have to have a portfolio of only painting. If you make sculpture, clothing, you like to dabble in video, illustration, show us your sketchbook. If you like to write, give us poetry. We want to see a good range, and also check to see if you're already thinking about art in a very interdisciplinary way. So really experiment. Again, be weird, show us your personality, show us your experimentation, and your exploration in different ways of making. Innovate. So challenge your medium also. How could you push the boundaries of what you're already used to doing? You don't want to plateau. You don't want to keep doing the same thing over and over. You want to keep pushing yourself so that you could grow as an artist, and document your work really well too. It doesn't take a lot of, high-tech equipment or expensive equipment to properly document your work. We all have phones that, for the most part, have good enough cameras to take a decent picture of our work. Just make sure you crop it in. The rings of the sketchbook always kill me whenever I see it in there, where it was so simple to just crop it out. So make sure you pay attention to those little details, because how you represent yourself in the portfolio is how you represent yourself as an artist. You could also find out more about what we look for in our portfolio through the following QR code or the link. If you can screenshot this page, you could also go on our website, cca.edu/portfolio to get access. We also have a lot of resources for international students. Out of the 1,000 students that we have in undergraduate, 40% are actually international students, which is a remarkable number in terms of student body population. So again, we're one of the most diverse schools here, and 40% international students is no joke. So we really want to make sure that all of our students have the resources to feel supported. We have our ISS team, so our International Student Services Office, where we provide counseling and academic coaching, advising on maintaining your immigration status, peer support from student ambassadors and leaders. So you're not just talking to, folks that feel so much older than you, like someone that actually is a little bit more accessible, and international themed events and cultural programming. So you feel a little bit more connected to your community as well, and not so isolated, because we all know it's very scary and intimidating to go off to a whole different country, where you might not know a lot of people. So we want to make sure that you feel supported, that you have friends, that you have people that got your back and that you could turn to. Going to our English language requirements. So these are the minimum scores that we look for. We're very upfront with that. For the TOEFL, score of 80. For the IELTS, 6.5. If you go to an international school or a school where the primary mode of instruction is in English, you're automatically going to be waived also. So just keep that in mind. This is all also on our website. You're also going to be eligible for merit-based scholarships. So just by simply applying to CCA, you'll automatically be eligible to receive merit. You don't have to do anything extra. And based on the holistic review of your application, you could be rewarded up to $25,000. That's renewable every single year, taken directly out of your tuition, which is a really great number. And again, one of the benefits to being a private nonprofit art institution is that we have a lot of control over how we allocate our budget, and the majority of our budget actually goes back to students in the form of scholarships. So 83% of our students do receive financial aid of some sort, with the average amount of combined scholarships and grants being about 27K, which is great. That basically cuts your tuition in half. So the types of financial aid that we have available for international students is this merit scholarship and our campus job. So you are able to work through institutional work study at CCA. So finally, I'm going to close it off with some next steps. So we're already in the recruitment cycle here from September to January. Our first year fall early action deadline is November 15th. Honestly, my personal take is try to go for the Feb 1, the February 1st priority deadline. There's no advantage really in terms of admissions or scholarship for the November 15th. The only reason we have that is if you just want the application out of the way. If you want the decision already and you don't want to think about it anymore until it's time for you to decide where you want to go to school, go for that November 15th. Otherwise, give yourself time over Christmas break, for the rest of the semester, going into the spring, for that February 1st. I always like to think that, you have a lot more free time in between semesters, that you might get inspired and you might make some new art that you wish that you put in your portfolio um in the early action deadline. But with the February 1st, you could take your time on it and feel really good about hitting that submit. And thank you so much for being here for my presentation. Again, my name is Francis Kalimlim. This is our main email for international students. That's also our phone line that you could call or text at, along with our social media handles.
All right. Thank you so much again to the California College of Arts and Mr. Kalim Lim for providing your valuable time for speaking in our conference today. If you guys have any
Absolutely.
questions for this university, please kindly use the chat box below, or you could privately message me or Mr. Francis, and Mr. Francis will be happy to answer the questions. So I'll give 2 minutes for questions. So once again, if you have any questions, you could send them
Ask me anything.
in the chat box, or you could privately message me. While we're in it, I'll send the link to the post-college fair form. So if you want to hear from the university, specifically California College of the Arts, you could answer this form and we will add these universities to your mailing lists, all right? So, okay, just keep sending the questions. We'll start 9:39.
And Carl, what I'll do as well is I will put in the chat my direct email too. So you could feel free to pass that out to anyone that might have a question for me later down the road.
That's it. Thank you very much. So I've received some questions, and I guess we can start now.
Awesome.
The first question I got is regarding the aspect of art in the college. Is an anime art style frowned upon or welcomed in California College of Arts for animation and illustration?
That is a great question. That is definitely not frowned upon. I grew up on anime myself. The key with that style is try to make it your own. So in the portfolio, and this pretty much goes for a lot, almost all art schools. Um, you want to stay away from fan art. You want to avoid already existing characters. Same with celebrities, already known, figures. So if you draw in an anime style, that's great. We want to see it to the best of your abilities, but also try to create your own style, swimming in that kind of trajectory too. So create your own
Mr. Francis, can you repeat the last part since I think you got choppy a bit.
Oh, sorry about that. So yeah, try to keep it as original and true to your own style as possible. You want to avoid already existing characters or people. including anime and media and things like that. So creating your own characters, creating your own stories, regardless of what style you draw in, is my best advice for that.
All right, thank you very much. So, can we go back to I've got another question. Can we go back to the list of majors in California College of the Arts?
Absolutely. Let me bring that up. In one sec.
And can you flash them in screen?
So I'll actually put our more kind of general info slide here, so you also get that QR code along with our majors.
All right, thank you very much. So I just want to ask, are there non-arts majors available, or is CCA really focused on specific art majors?
Great question. So we are a private art and design school. So these are the only majors that we have, specifically oriented towards art, design, and architecture.
All right, thank you very much.
Mhm.
So we got another question. Are is For applicants, if they are accepted, is it all right to take a gap year if they want to improve on their art and explore more styles?
Yeah. I wouldn't know what taking a gap year would serve if you're already, you know, in the program, because that would be a great time to take advantage of, your studies, practicing, different art mediums, your own practice, things like that. If you do have to take a gap year, or if you do have to take, and the question is pertaining to if you're already a student, right? Or is it before applying?
Before, as if you're already accepted into CCA.
Yeah, so, if you have to take a leave of absence, life happens, if that's something you need to do. If you're doing it solely just to practice the things that you are currently learning, I would say stick to it, stick to the program, because you'll only continue to learn the best that you can while still in school.
All right, thank you very much. Another question. So, there are many art schools in the world. What makes California College of the Arts special, and what makes it stand out from all other art schools?
Yeah, that's a great question. So we are part of a consortium called ACAD, the Association of Independent Arts and Colleges, um, of Colleges of Art and Design, sorry. And this means there's only 36 of us across the country. We're all working together, and we are fully accredited private nonprofit. For we're all widely different. Some of these schools you may have already heard of, but we're all slightly different from one another. Some of us focus on traditional making. Some of us have performing arts and music and things like that. For us, we're the only private art school in the San Francisco Bay Area. So that means we draw a lot of attention from those big name companies and industries that are surrounding us, Google, Amazon, Pixar, things like that. But what I personally really love about CCA is how individual focused that we are. We don't have our own style. We actually want to help you grow your own personal style. Excuse me, I'm about to sneeze. Oh, I was waiting on that one. And I think that offers such a big advantage that you don't get anywhere else. We're not competing with a lot of other schools, if any. So when you come here, you get the full attention of all of those amazing resources and communities that we have in San Francisco that are global powers, that I would say when it comes to these growing studios and designs.
All right, thank you very much for that. I've received another question from the
Mhm.
chat that asks so what would you say is a highlight of being an international student at CCA, specifically being a Filipino student?
Can you repeat the question one more time, please?
All right. What would you say is a highlight of being an international student at CCA, specifically being a Filipino international student?
Oh yeah. Um, So much. I think one of the best things that you could do for yourself is to allow yourself to invest in invest in gaining that experience of not just going to America, but going somewhere outside of the Philippines, really learning and soaking in a lot of different cultures, diversifying yourself around a lot of different types of people, especially oriented in the same kind of interest that you're in, which is art. San Francisco is a big melting pot of a lot of different communities. And, we have Daly City, we have a large concentration of Filipinos, so you do feel right at home too. I don't have any family in San Francisco, but I feel right at home. You get to choose your family. You get to choose whatever kind of community that you want to be a part of, multiple communities that you want to be a part of. So we're already one of the most diverse private art institutions in the United States and in Canada. Um, and coming here as a Filipino, you're only contributing to even more of that diversification, right? You're only contributing more to sharing our beautiful culture, our backgrounds, our heritage, and learning more from others as well. So it really is this like symbiotic relationship that you then get to be a part of, and you're doing it in not just a lived bodily way, but also in a visual, artistic way too.
All right, thank you very much. So I've received one more question. It's about what are the opportunities for the student outside of the classroom in the university itself? So this could be orgs, extracurriculars, and student life near the Bay Area.
Yeah, yeah, great question. So, I did go over a few of those, and I could bring it up again. We have a lot of student-founded, student-led, and student-run organizations and clubs that we have that are constantly being approached by different sectors of the city as well, such as that TBD that I talked about, where our subway line, basically our version of like the MRT if you're in Manila, actually went to our school and our students and said, "Hey, let's work on this project together." We have a ton of industry partnerships. For those who are interested in architecture, probably use AutoCAD. We have that AutoCAD residency where you actually go to their headquarters and work on their use their technologies and their equipment to work on various projects. We through our ceramics department, we are the chair David Lynch takes a lot of the ceramic students down to Monterey Bay, and they help make these ceramic kind of enclosures for sea turtles so that they could safely go, like the newly hatched turtles could safely go into the ocean and get protected by predators. So we're also contributing to animal life and the environment. So many different things that our students are doing that are actually doing something with the community, that they're making a stamp already.
All
Um,
right,
yeah.
thank you very much. Are there any more questions that would like to be asked? Once again, I'm going to bump the post-college fair form to everyone so that you could answer this if you want to have your email added to the university's mailing list. All right, just gonna
Yeah,
wait.
and I will say, if you are interested in CCA, do sign up for our mailing list as well, because we try not to spam you, first off, because I always check with them. Second off, you'll receive invitations to a ton of free virtual workshops that we host, such as portfolio workshops, financial aid literacy workshops, international student workshops, all of that good stuff that's going to be very useful and informative.
All right. Okay, since I think we've not received any more questions, I think we'll wrap up the session now.
Okay.
Thank you so much, Mr. Kalim Lim and California College of the Arts, for devoting your time to present your university. And thank you to everyone for attending the session. See you at 11 o'clock, 10 o'clock rather, for the next session. I'll stop recording now.